On this episode of This Is Game Boy, why did the two penguins jump when they first met? They were trying to break the ice. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of This Is Game Boy, where we spend the first 10 minutes of the recording saying really good penguin jokes back and forth. I am eBloodyCandy, and with me, as always, during the big episodes is Moelle.
It is I am here.
So before we dive into today's very chilling episode, what have you been up to?
I've been up to a lot, and I thought I was going to have a way too long list, and then I saw your list, and I was like, oh god, what is going on? So I'm just going to quickly go through it, because otherwise we're going to be here for 5 hours. But I've been wrapping up some games I have flying around on newer systems, so I've been focusing on what I had on PlayStation 4 for a while. I got Platinum on Miles Morales, East 9, Little Nightmares, plus a DLC, but that's not a Platinum trophy, that's normal trophies. Castlevania The Anniversary Collection, also no Platinum. Soma, I don't think that has a Platinum either. Rhyme, which had a Platinum. Abzu, which is one of the free games you can get right now, because of the whole play-at-home thing that Sony is doing. That game was an hour and 50 minutes, and I completed it, so it's not much. And I'm currently playing Tearaway Unfolded, but I'm not super liking it. It's a nice concept, but it got old really fast and kind of wanted to be over. And I also have a problem getting a little bit nauseous after playing that for a while. I think it's because how the camera works in that game. Because it's a quote-unquote port of a Vita game where you have to, like, move your Vita around and things like that. And I think the camera is not, like, for me at least, I get some motion sickness out of that. But yeah, that's what I've been playing on PlayStation. I checked out a free game on Steam called Mandu versus the Colorless Curse, which is a quote-unquote Game Boy game. It's free, so check it out. It's actually pretty fun to play. I think I'm at the final stage, but I haven't finished it yet. For portable pleasure, I was able to actually finish some games for once. I've been doing all these long games, actually, and it's taken a while. But first I played Game Boy Gallery 2, which is kind of a Japanese exclusive one, but it also came out in Australia under the title Game Boy Gallery 3. But I don't know, like, these are hard to locate on, like, eBay and things like that, so I'm not sure why they got it and nobody else got it. But this is a really cool one. I'm trying to remember which the games are on there, because it's Game & Watch games, of course, the old ones, but a newer version of them. It has Donkey Kong, Ball, which is an unlockable game. Let me think. Parachute, some kind of whack-a-mole thing, whatever. Like, it has very fun games, and unlike Game Boy, no, it's called Game & Watch Gallery, I think the first one, the collection. Yep. Like, unlike that one, this one actually does have an ending. Like, the other one should have an ending as well if you get 20 stars, but they don't unlock unless you're playing the Japanese version. Like, it's a complete mess, these games. But this one, if you have 50 stars, you get the first credits. There's also credits for completing it, getting 120 stars, but that means getting 1,000 points in every single game and variety offset game, which is crazy to do. That it would take 100 million hours. So I just got the first credits, and it was really fun. I really liked all the games they had on this. I've also played Rampart, which is it's a fun game. I really love this concept, but it's pure RNG. So it's a fun game to actually play, but it's not a fun game to beat, if that makes any sense. Because you only have 3 lives, no continues, there's 7 stages, but anything can go wrong very quickly if you just get the wrong parts to build your castle. But I would check it out if you want to play a fun concept. I really actually enjoyed playing through that game. And if it was like a stage-based game with passwords, I would have loved to play more of it, but as it is right now, it wasn't that much fun to actually try and beat it, because it was just waiting for a good RNG. I've played a little bit of Gearworks, and that game can, like, go to hell. Like, I absolutely hate it. The concept is pretty simple and pretty fun, in my opinion. Like, you get a grid with pegs, and you can put gears on that, and you have to make a path of gears so that all of them are rotating, basically. That's all you need to do. But this is a puzzle game which has a lot of stages. It has 12 worlds, each with 10 stages, I believe. You only get a password if you finish the world, which is also fine. Like, up until that point, it's fine. But every stage is timed. And you get packs of stages. It's not just one stage. It's like either 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 combined. If you fail at, for instance, the 4th one out of the 4, you have to restart from the first one, which is always great in a puzzle game. It is completely RNG based. You never know which gears you're gonna get. You just have to figure it out on the fly, which is hard because of how every stage is timed. It makes you mad. And not only that, you get 3 lives. So every time you have to go through all of these stages, hoping you get the right gears, just to be able to complete the puzzle, have to do it in time, have to be very quick about it, or you have to restart the entire world every time. It is a complete mess. I'm currently at world 5, I believe, out of 12. I had to stop playing it because I was getting so mad at that game. And that hasn't happened since Lolo, actually, which I also hate. Adventures of Lolo, horrible game. I hate it. I know a lot of people love Lolo puzzle games, but I absolutely hate them. And in that one, at least you get a password after every stage. So yeah, this game is really grinding my gears, so to speak. I really don't want to continue it, but I'm gonna have to, but I'm taking a break from it because it's driving me insane. So I have to be in a real good space of mind, is that how you say it? To even want to play that game. So yeah, that's been a while. It's since Adventures of Lolo since I felt that way about a game. And I'm already bad at puzzle games, so it's even more frustrating for me, to be honest. So, yeah. I would not recommend this game to anybody at all, even if the concept is pretty fun in its own way. But, yeah, you just don't make puzzle games with and time limits and RNG and lives. That's like the worst combo you can give for a puzzle game. If one of each is fine, but not all of them put together, and especially not if you have to repeat so many stages just because of one tiny mistake. And like, I'll jump into another puzzle game I'm actually playing right now called Megalith, which probably nobody has ever heard of, but it's really cool. You're basically a blob that is pulling blocks, and you have to get every block down on the bottom floor. So you have to, like, build stairs because they can't fall more than 1 block down and things like that. And there's 2 modes to this game, easy mode and quest mode. Easy mode is basically the tutorial. You have an unlimited amount of time, you have an unlimited amount of lives. You can just learn how to play the game. I think it took me like an hour and a half to beat that or something, or 2 hours. I don't remember. It's 30 stages. And then there's a 30 stages of quest mode. There they do add a timer. but it's a good timer. They give you plenty of time. Like, yeah, I have not seen a puzzle yet that I was like, oh, I'm never solving this in this amount of time. Yes, they do only give you 3 lives, sadly, as well. But the thing about this one is every 5 stages you get a password, and if you know the solution for the puzzle, you can just do it. Like, even if you have to repeat some of them, you know the solution, so you can do it. It's no RNG, it's a set puzzle. So that is way better, and it uses basically the same principles as Gearworks, except for the RNG, and I actually really like Megalith. I love playing it, so that's definitely one everybody should check out if you like puzzle games. I've also played Lunar Lander, which is a game everybody should know. It's that game where you land on the moon. That's basically what Lunar Lander is. They did make it a little bit different for the Game Boy version, where first you have to do a little sequence where you launch into space. You only have to do that once at the start of the game. Then you get a moon map which has 8 different spots you can land on. That one works exactly as Lunar Lander works, except for one thing: there are meteors that fall. They are complete RNG based. They can spawn literally right next to you, which is not fun. Let me just tell you, it's not fun. So the way this game progresses is it has 4 missions, each with those 8 landings. And once you've landed, you have to go around the grid where you have to search for an item or 5 items before you return to your lander. And you have a little radar that signifies where something might be hidden, so you know where to dig. So that's another addition that this game does. For the first 3 missions, it's fine. Like, you only have 3 lives in which you can do these 8 different stages, basically. If you lose, you have to restart, but there's passwords for each mission. And it's okay until the very last mission, where good old RNGesus is back, and you're probably gonna get hit by the meteors 7 million times and having to redo the entire mission over and over and over again until you get lucky. If it was just the landing part, it would be fine, but in the end, when you have to search for those items, the grid keeps expanding and expanding. So you start with a 2x2 grid, 3x3, 4x4, and then it's 5x5. And that part doesn't get harder. It's like the easiest thing you can do, but it just makes it a lot longer. And it takes about like more than an hour to do all those 8 stages in mission 4. So if you're at the final one, you just have to do one more landing, and meteors keep spawning next to you. You have to restart the entire thing. So that does get frustrated, but I made it through it. It just took a while, but I like the game, but they could have done it better that way. But yeah, whatever. It's a very simple game. It's one of the first Game Boy games ever made, I think. They tried to do something different, and yeah, I think you should check it out at least. It was only released in Japan as well. And speaking of Japan, we found a very cool game. Somebody requested some random Japanese game from my list called, and I don't know how to speak Japanese, so it's called Pokonyan Yume no Daiboken. Pokonyan something adventure. It was thing translated. God, is that a great game?
It's fun.
It is so good. I mean, I loved it. I did run into some probably technical issues on my side, where the game soft locked on me and I had to redo parts. But wow, it's such a fun little quote-unquote puzzle platformer. It's hard to describe, but you're basically going into dreams with a raccoon that has magic dust coming out of his tail, and you transform enemies into like platforms or springs or balls you can jump on or move around, and you have to collect all the keys to Yeah, to unlock a chest at the end, and then you get a seed. And once you've gotten all the seeds, you go into the final world where you have to do the same thing. Yeah, I think it's like a 2-hour game. It took me almost 4 because of the soft logs, but I didn't even mind the soft logs because I was having so much fun playing the game. I would have loved to have played more, but yeah, absolutely check out that game. But if you want to get a copy, it's one of the more rare games on Game Boy.
It was a limited release in Japan only, so if you can find a copy for under $100, it might be worth the snagging it because it's probably gonna go up in price. But it's a big if you can find a copy. I found one, and it was expensive. I was like, nope.
yeah, it's very expensive. But yeah, an absolutely amazing game. I'm glad somebody picked it because I had never heard of it. It's always nice when somebody picks like a Japanese game and it's like really, really good. So yeah, that's definitely one you should try to play. Played another Japanese-only game called Booby Boys. Yep, all the boobies all the time. This is like it's either a port or a sequel to the NES game Booby Kids, which I think which did come out in outside of Japan if I remember correctly. But it's basically if you ever played Heiankyo Alien or anything like that, it's like a grid where you can dig holes and enemies can fall into them, and you have to collect something to move on to the next stage. That's basically what this game is, but a way more streamlined version of that concept. You have weapons, you do not fall into your own holes, like that is already a godsend.
Yep.
You do have lives, but I don't remember if you start from the same stage or just the same world. Like, it doesn't matter. You have plenty of opportunities.
You start from the same stage if you die. And then when you game over, it gives you a long password, but it saves it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and like this game has 6 worlds, I believe, each with 10 stages, I think, and each 10 stages a boss fight. I really had a lot of fun with this game. Like, it was over before I knew it. It's very easy. I did play it on easy mode. There's 3 difficulties. The default is easy, so I just played it on that. But I had a lot of fun with this game.
You beat it pretty quick, too.
Yeah, like an hour and a half or something like that. It's really fun. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. Like, I liked Heiankyo Alien, but that one got very scary very fast because like it gets a lot harder. But this one like stays kind of the same the entire game. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, it's not a spectacular game or anything, but if you're looking for one of those types of, how do you call them, top-down collectathons or something? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a collecting puzzle. I don't know. They're
like
hard to
a
explain.
Pac-Man grid, like whatever. Like, it's just one of those.
Heiankyo Alien can suck it. First of all, this game looked way better, so I didn't like Heiankyo Alien. So
yeah, this is a really fun game. It just expands on the concept and does it well. So I don't know how Booby Kids is.
I don't.
Maybe it's literally the same game. I don't know. Everybody just loves how it's called. Oh yeah. After that, the final Game Boy game I played basically was Reservoir Rats. I can't pronounce that well. Lex is gonna make fun of me again.
Reservoir Rats, aka Rats in America.
Rats, yeah. For a Belgian Dutch-speaking person, an alliteration in English with a lot of R's in it is really hard to pronounce because we tend to go to a like more W sound when it comes to R's. So it's Reservoir Rats. See, if I pay attention, I can pronounce. Otherwise, it's gonna be Reservoir Rats. that's just how it's gonna come out. So yeah, this is a fun. What is it actually? Instead of a top-down collectathon game, this is just a straight 2D platforming collectathon game. You are a rat and you have a machine gun. Yeah, that's you heard that correctly. You have a machine gun, and you go into a stage and there's like snacks spread out, and you have to collect all of them, and then the door to the exit opens. You can also enter bonus stages if you kill every enemy you come across throughout the stages before a bonus level would appear. And after each 15 stages, I believe, you get into a boss fight. This is a fun game. It has okay music, but the problem is that because the same music plays for so many stages, you get really tired of it. Plus, all the music is basically a song you know, but with a few notes changed, so that they could use it, I think. I don't know how they did it. It's so... Yeah, it's so weird, but it's catchy music, but you don't want to hear it for like half an hour. And this game has, sadly, 75 stages. It's totally overstays its welcome. 5 stages, even 10 stages in each world would have been more than enough, but yeah, it took me 4 hours to beat this game, but just because it has so many stages, not even because it's harder.
It looked fun. It reminded me a lot of it reminded me a lot of Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle if Bugs Bunny was able to defend himself.
Yeah, something like that, indeed. It reminded me of old Apogee DOS games, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Things like Commander Keen or Secret Agent Man or Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
Not 3D, but the original Duke Nukem.
The old platforming side-scrolling Duke Nukem.
Yeah, it's I think it's made in the same vein as those types of games, and it is a game like that, but it just overstays its welcome. But yeah, there's nothing special to it. It's just a very fun, whatever those types of games are. I had a lot of fun playing it, but it just took way too long for me. Yeah. But yeah, that's all the normal things I've been playing, and because of a thing we will talk about later, I have been doing Darkwing Duck and eSparks, speedruns. I'm practicing, but we'll come back to that later, I guess.
Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, it's been going well, actually.
Good.
But yeah, that's pretty much everything I've been up to, which was a lot. But now here comes EBC with an even longer list, apparently.
It's rare. It's rare that I do more stuff than you, especially gaming related.
And I did a lot this time around, so I don't even know how I got the time to do all of this, but yeah.
So I've been doing what I've called the month of retro. So I've kind of neglected retro gaming, with the exception of the games we play for the podcast, for 6 months. And it's you know what? A lot of you watch me and follow me for retro games. I'll give you a month just dedicated to retro stuff. NES alone, we've done Mega Man 3, Popeye, Donkey Kong Jr., Darkwing Duck, and Caveman games. By the way, Darkwing Duck, casual playthrough for me is about 25 minutes. No big deal.
Something like that.
No big deal. But NES got put on hold because I actually just bought an RGB modded NES now. So I'm excited to get back into NES games that are crispy, because RGB modded consoles have spoiled me. So we'll be going back into NES in a bit. I unfortunately do have an issue with it, though. I have the adapter for Famicom to 72-pin, which is the NTSC carts, and the adapter wants to wiggle on its own, which then locks up my game.
Yep.
So I was just well, fine. So I'm gonna sell my NES Nate, my NTSC Nate, and I bought a Famicom Nate Pro. So alleviate that problem real quick.
It's good. I have one as well.
Do you have the Nate Pro?
Oh no, not Pro, just normal.
Oh, just the normal one. I
got
the Pro because it was
Famicom one.
It was $15 more, and I was whatever.
Sure. What does that add, though?
It's a real-time clock, faster processing, no lag menu. I can put more files into a folder. There's a bunch of other stuff too.
Sure.
So something with like sound chips and shit like that.
Right.
Ding. Next, I pulled out the Sega Saturn. For those that don't know, I had a Sega Saturn as a kid that I never got to play. But I still have my childhood Sega Saturn, so I pulled that out and played Three Dirty Dwarves, which is a comical beat 'em up. It's based off of basically like the government's training these kids to become like super soldiers, and the kids are playing D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, if you live under a rock, and their characters are like this warrior, some like alchemy guy, and some hunter. And basically, they roll a nat 20. The three D&D characters port into the real world, and then are in a sports shop. And one character shoots a shotgun, another one bowls a bowling ball, and the other one hits baseballs at people. It's a very comical game. Then I played Space Jam, which exactly what it sounds like. It's a basketball game with some mini games in it. I beat the Monstars 260 to 130. So just took them to town. Then I played Mortal Kombat 2 on the Sega Saturn. Oh boy, I forgot how hard. I forgot how bad I was at fighting games, and B, I forgot how hard Mortal Kombat 2 on the Sega Saturn was. That game took me like an hour and a half to get through, and it was only because of one fight. But yeah. Bo knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Kintaro.
Yeah.
He sucks.
I did find out that you can freeze him with Sub-Zero.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah, so that made the fight easier once I figured that out, but...
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, and I don't know if it's that version, but I know there is at least one version of Mortal Kombat 2 on console that literally reads your inputs. Like absolutely reads your inputs. So even getting through it would be hard. I don't know if it's a Saturn one, but I just know there is one that does that.
I have no idea.
It's
hard regardless. I'm just not good at fighting games. Like honestly, at the end of the day, and you'll find out here next that I am not good at fighting games. So Saturn was done. I have a few more games for the Saturn I'm going to play through, but then we jump into Super Nintendo. I played Beavis and Butthead, which is honestly probably one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. Most people hate that game, but it is. I love it. Then I played Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which was suggested by I'm so sorry I'm gonna butcher your name, but Ixoran, Ixoran. But he's a listener to the podcast. He was in my chat, and he's like, I don't know, let's pick pile 3 or like pile 5, third from the top or something like that, because I didn't know what else I wanted to play. And it was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and holy smokes, is that game good! Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the beat 'em up, the base beat 'em up with Trini and Kimberly and them. Holy smokes, is that game good! And the soundtrack is so good. Oh man, highly recommend it. I even speedran it, and I'm not last in it. So there's that.
Yay!
Super good game. Then I played Home Alone, and honestly, I liked it. I like Home Alone on the Super Nintendo. Now, counter, I hate it on the Game Boy. It sucks on the Game Boy. But it's a lot of fun on the Super Nintendo.
Home Alone 1 is not good on Game. Well, it's too long. That's the issue. If it was a little bit shorter.
It's too long, and Kevin's too slippery. He slides.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember.
That's the problem with Home Alone on Game Boy, is that Kevin slides and you can't stop him. And he doesn't jump as high as he does in the Super Nintendo version. The Super Nintendo version is the superior version. Just play that one. Then I played Mortal Kombat 3 on the Super Nintendo.
Oh boy.
This was a 2.5-hour endeavor because of one fight.
Let me guess. Motaro.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I played these games so much when I was a kid that I just...
You can't freeze. You can't if you do any projectiles to them, it just reflects back into you.
Yeah.
I found so the only way I was able to beat the game was I enabled more cheats, which is a menu that pops up and it gives you 50 credits instead of 5 credits. So there's something crazy with Mortal Kombat 3 for the Super Nintendo. Is if you put it on easy, the first time that you fight one of the fighters, they're still set to medium or hard. They're not on easy until you game over to them. If you game over to them, then they are set to easy. Except Montaro and the last guy, Shao Tsung, whatever the hell his name is.
Shao Kahn, yeah.
Yeah. Those two, that rule does not apply for. They're just set to hard no matter what.
Yeah, that's very easy to see if you play the game. Like, those are always just stupid hard, no matter what difficulty you're on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of troubles with 3. 2 I could finish, but 3 I don't think I ever finished when I was a kid.
So with 3, like I said, I'm not good at fighting games, so I would just lose all the time. The first time I fought somebody, it'd have to use a credit. You only get 4 credits, so by the time you get to Montaro, you're out of credits. Because so I was like, well, the hell with this. Like, there's got to be a cheat code for more credits. And there is. So that's all I wanted was more credits. But I beat it. It's Mortal Kombat. It's whatever.
I love the cheat codes for MK3 and MK3U. I think it's 3U, yeah.
Yeah,
Ultimate. Well, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. I love those. Especially because you can do hyper fighting, I think, is one of the things. And then it's basically turbo mode. And it's so much more fun in turbo mode.
You can do like one-button fatalities and stuff like that.
Those are fun. Yeah. Great cheat codes.
Yeah. And then I had the brilliant idea of, after Mortal Kombat, to play Street Fighter 2. World Warrior, which is the original Street Fighter 2 for the SNES.
Yep. Oh, man, that one is so slow.
Man, that game sucks, too.
It's just slow.
I am not good at fighting games, and it took me 45 minutes to figure out how to Shoryuken on Ryu.
Right.
Because, like, you have to do, like, the down quarter circle forward punch or whatever, and I'm just like, I'm doing that.
Yes.
Hello, I'm doing that on a D-pad, and it just does nothing. I hate any fighting game that deals with controls like that. I beat it. M. Bison's an idiot. He sucks as well to fight, but I cheesed it with Blanca and was good to go after that. Yeah. Oh, God. And then I had the even better idea of playing Samurai Showdown after that, which is actually a super cool game, honestly.
It is,
Samurai Showdown on Super Nintendo is a lot of fun, and it's easy, too, on top of that. It took me 45 minutes to beat Samurai Showdown. The only problem I have with Samurai Showdown is the graphics. Like, graphically, there's too much detail to the game because it looks very muddied in certain areas because of all of the detail that they're trying to put into the game. But it is a fun game, though. It is a very, very fun game with some super cool cutscenes. And the final boss has a attack that will just instantly one shot you, as I found out. So, and then I played Shaq Fu, which I used to speedrun. So I was like, oh, this won't be too bad. No, I lost the final boss of Shaq Fu for like the next 30 minutes. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I used to speedrun this game. What's happening? So, I played Shaq Fu for about 45 minutes before I finally beat it. But it's Shaq Fu, so it's fine.
Right.
Then I played the N64, unfortunately. I love fighting games, apparently. The first game I played was Powerpuff Girls Chemical Extraction, which if you've never played Powerpuff Girls Chemical Extraction, it's an arena fighting game. Think of
All right.
it's an arena fighting game. It's instead of like the 2D fighting side by side, you can wander around a room and throw stuff at each other. Then once you collect 3 chemical X's, you can shoot eye lasers at the enemy.
Okay.
It's a really crappy game. It's really laggy. It's really, really easy. All you have to do is just fly kick. But it's Powerpuff Girls. You really can't expect a ton from the Powerpuff Girls, especially in that kind of setting. Although the Game Boy Color Powerpuff Girls are lit. Super fun games. They don't look good, but they're super fun. Then I played WWF No Mercy. And we get to see Stone Cold Steve Austin in a green bikini, because he won the women's title. And so the game doesn't like stop you from it'll allow you to be a man going for a women's title and a woman going for a men's title. So I was playing as Stone Cold Steve Austin because I played this on March 16th, and I went to go get the women's title with Stone Cold, and one of them was a bikini contest, and Stone Cold came out in a green thonged bikini, and it was probably the most comical thing I've seen in my life. So that was a thing. And then I won the main title with The Rock, of course. So, and then I played Pokemon Snap, which Pokemon Snap is always like the perfect chill game for me. As much as I hate the N64, Pokemon Snap will always forever be like that game I can just lean back in my chair and just play over and over and over again for hours on end. Almost done. Game Boy. I played Pokemon Neon Yume no Dabuken as well. It took me about 2.5 hours to beat. I had no soft locking issues at all when I played it. But the issue with that game is that it takes forever for it to load because of the Super Game Boy borders. But we already talked about it, but it's a super fun game. Then I got to play Yonkin Man again, because I apparently never played it for Game Boy Adventure. So I was like, well, cool, that's a quick 7-minute game. So nothing much to talk about Yonkin Man. Then I played Chase HQ. I haven't been this mad at a game since Mario Land 2. It was getting to the point where I was about to chuck the controller, because the controls in that game are absolute trash. And the hitboxes, they either exist or they don't. And the enemy can go through cars and I can't. And oh my god, this game was infuriating.
I'm looking it up on my list because I know I beat it. It took me 34 minutes.
It took me an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's so. And my notes are fun little arcade style racer, weird hitboxes though. So yeah, there's something with the hitbox. I don't remember, but yeah, apparently there's something with the hitbox.
Like I would drive past the car, then all of a sudden, like I would hit the car, end up in the post, and spin out, and it's like, what? Okay, well I apparently hit that car somehow. So, and then I played probably, arguably, maybe my new favorite Game Boy game, and that is Masakari Denzetsu Kentaro Action Hen. That's a mouthful. Basically, you're this samurai guy that fights. It's a 2D platforming game. But it's super fun, and there's a lot of depth to the game as well because it has sumo wrestling in it. If I was going to win one of Mo's raffles, I was going to make him play this game, unknowing that it was a good game, because I saw that it has sumo wrestling. Mo's not helping me with Hari Manada, so I was going to make him play a sumo wrestling game out of spite. And then I ended up playing this game. I was like, whoa, this game is super good. So, yeah, very good sprite work. Dude, the music in this game at the end, oh, so good. So good. I hope you get to play the game eventually.
Well, I will have to, yeah.
So good. The game took me about, on a second playthrough, took me about an hour and a half still. So it's a pretty long game, too.
Okay.
Has 10 stages. 10 long stages. And then I did some Game Boy homebrews. I played Quest Arrest by John Rue. I forgot when, a couple days ago. Cool little game. It has issues. They needed to spell check the manual, first of all. There were a lot of misspellings in the manual. And then they really needed to flush out the combat in Quest Arrest. I'm not going to spoil the game because I know we have some listeners that actually have it and want to play through it, but they needed to iron out the combat a bit for it to be like a really, really good game. But for what it wasn't bad. The dialogue was cute. They could have toned down the swearing a bit, but for the most part, it was cute. And the story itself was actually pretty decent. And it had multiple endings, which was pretty ambitious for a GB Studio creation. This was made by a couple of people in a GB Studio. So, and for what it was good, you know. I have a physical copy of them. It's sitting here right on my desk. And then I played DMG Deals Damage, which our producer Lakes and I blind raced at launch. This game was released on the 30th birthday of the Game Boy, and basically you play as the old DMG Great Brick. You go around destroying other mobile devices that have come up since then. So like the Tamagotchi, the N-Gage, and things like that. It's fun until you hit like the level 24. Then it's just it's just super infuriating at that point. Because there's just so much stuff on the screen that can happen, and you can spawn into a room and immediately take damage. It's
Oh.
Yeah. And it hurts your thumbs really bad. So, yeah.
A lot of foam brews are coming out.
Yeah,
on cards even.
I'm hoping to play some horror ones either after we're done recording or tomorrow. I want to play a Dedius, Neighbor, and there's a few others I want to play as well. And then outside of actual playing games, I've been making a game in GB Studio. So I've been trying to figure out how to use GB Studio and how to basically make things work, and I've made a lot of progress in understanding how sprites work, how sprite animation works, fight mechanics, fight collisions, etc. So I am actually making a game right now in GB Studio, which is it's actually kind of exciting to think about. I don't know how I'm going to do music yet, because I am not good with music, but it'll be something. Maybe I'll have a friend help me. But yeah, and I've been making thumbnails. If you haven't followed that debacle, God. I've remade 40 thumbnails at least 3 times now. So I've been uploading everything to YouTube, trying to get all the retro stuff out to YouTube as well too. So if you do follow my YouTube, you've probably seen a plethora of retro content going out there, along with Assassin's Creed Valhalla videos. We're on like episode 20 of 37 right now, so I've just been busy. I have no free time at all right now.
Yeah, sounds like it. Jesus.
Yeah, well, that's an hour intro, so that's cool. This is the rare time that I have more going on than Mo. Like, yeah.
I've not been doing that much besides playing those games. Like, I've been reading a lot, but that doesn't, like, I mean, that that's not being productive or anything. I'm just reading.
Yeah.
Like, I've been finishing some Stephen King novels, and I've gotten quite a few of the original Turtles comics in the collections, and I've been reading through those. I'm a little tired of constantly working on stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing some reading. I usually try and read before I go to sleep. I'm like halfway through the Death Note manga series right now, which is great sleeping material, by the way.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. I mean, Stephen King isn't the greatest sleeping material either.
True.
I mean, but I finished up the Dark Tower series finally. Because that's 3,000 pages in total or something like that. So that was long. I've read. Let me see. The Eyes of the Dragon, which and this is weird to say, but it's the least Stephen King book I've ever read in my life. It doesn't feel like a Stephen King book. It was alright, but it just wasn't Stephen King. That's
because he's off drugs.
He probably was definitely off drugs by then, yeah. But I don't know, that one was... It felt like I was reading a story of somebody else. It's literally a fantasy medieval story, and that's not something for me to begin with. I don't like those kind of stories, but I had it lying around, and it was Stephen King, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll read it. The Dark Tower, you could also say is medieval sci-fi, but not really. Totally not. So, that one I actually did enjoy.
I like Stephen King a lot. He's definitely one of my favorite authors, but the last book of his I read was the Mr. Mercedes series.
Yeah, those are amazing. I love those. But yeah, those are also little bit weird for Stephen King. But
those are out there.
Yeah. I read Cujo. I love Cujo.
Well, that's a good game. Or good book.
good
game.
Movie. Good movie and good book, yeah. And currently I'm reading Carrie, which is his very first book.
I like that book a lot.
I like the book. I do not like the physical book. Because I don't know who did the layout for that one. But it has huge letters. Yeah. It has almost no paragraphing. I don't know. Carrie is 180 pages book or something. It's pretty short for Stephen King. This one is 350 pages just because they used such a big font.
Giant
font. It's not readable. It's so hard to get through. It's unbelievable. But the book itself is fun.
Carrie and Pet Sematary is probably my two favorite Stephen King books. So
did I read? I think I read Pet Sematary now. Yeah. I have a list with everything I've read. I actually wanted to get The Stand first because I've seen the new miniseries, and I was like, I should actually read that book sometime. But,
have you read Dr. Sleep?
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, the movie is 700 times better than the actual book because I hate that book. It's the worst Stephen King book in my opinion.
I haven't read the book because I was like, well, nothing's going to top The Shining. Why does The Shining need a sequel? So I was like, I'm not going to read the book. And I saw it, but then I was like, oh, the movies. I'm like, I'll go watch the movie. The movie wasn't bad. I had no hope for it at all. But it
Me
wasn't
neither,
bad.
Because I hated the book actually. But yeah.
Oh really? Yeah. See, I'm just like, The Shining didn't need a sequel. Why are we getting a sequel to The Shining? But the movie wasn't bad. I would recommend the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great and it ties into the Kubrick movie because there's also the TV movie, which in my opinion is better than the Kubrick one, but for different reasons. The Kubrick, The Shining is actually not really like the book at all, but whatever. It's a good movie, don't get me wrong. But if you want the truer version, you should watch the TV mini movie or whatever they call it of The Shining. Yeah. But yeah, good follow-up movie. Hate the book. Hate it. I've never hated a book in my life so much as Dr. Sleep. I don't know why.
I own it. I bought it for $2 at a thrift store, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to read it.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I need to get through Death Note, and then I need to get through the rest of my Zelda mangas as well too. If you didn't know, Legend of Zelda had mangas, by the way, that are based off of the games. They're okay. They're mediocre at best. And then Assassin's Creed just came out with a new one, so of course I gotta read that. So
yeah, and the Kirby manga English version is available for pre-order right now on Amazon.
That is true.
And it's like $8 or something. So I would do that. I don't know what's in it, but I would just do it. Why not? It's Kirby.
I have seen pages of the Kirby manga in Japanese, and I'm curious. Let's just say that. I'm curious.
And for such a cheap one, why not?
Yeah.
Really? It's like 150 pages, I think, which is normal for a manga volume. So, and normal price, so I'm interested in that.
But yeah, so on top of everything else that mode I've been doing, we've been reading as well too. And then on top of the Game Boy database and stuff like that.
Yeah, that as well.
So it's just busy. Like Dr. Wily's Revenge was like a week and a half late going out, a week late. I don't remember how long. Like my light is going to be late going out because I haven't given legs to my recording yet. It's just we've been so busy with stuff.
Yeah.
We'll get back on track eventually. But, so yeah, with that giant long intro that I know you all are excited to listen to, today's episode we're going to be talking about Amazing Penguin, if you haven't figured out from the awesome jokes that we had at the start of this episode. We'll be talking about Amazing Penguin and more detail about the Amazing Penguin when we return. Alright, welcome back everybody. So yeah, Amazing Penguin came out in Japan first as I am so good at pronouncing Japanese games. Osa yep.
Osawagaze Penguin Boy, I think.
Nailed it.
Probably not, but yes, something like that.
Came out August 8th of 1990. And then the US would get it in December of 1990, and the poor Europeans are always the last to get the game in 1991. Developed and published by Natsume, and I love Natsume games, period.
Yeah, they're great.
Natsume has done a ton of stuff. Spanky's Quest and Tailgater is just a couple of their other games for Game Boy. Ninja Gaiden Shadow, they were a developer for. They developed Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which we talked about earlier, or I talked about earlier. So they've done a lot of super cool games and a lot of really, really memorable good games as well too for a lot of different platforms. Something cool about this game as well too is that we actually know the composer for this game. We have Iku Mizutani and Koichi Yamanishi. God, I'm so good at pronouncing Japanese names. I believe these were Natsume composers just in general.
Iku Mizutani was indeed the main sound composer and sound programmer probably for Natsume, but they also did some music for Konami. I'm just looking really quick to their.
Well, Mitsuni did Metal Gear on MSX.
Yeah. But yeah, like Shadow of the Ninja, of course, that's Natsume. For NES, Spanky's Quest Tailgater for Game Boy, Sagaya for Master System, Sega Master System.
Snatcher as well too.
The music for Power Rangers for Super Nintendo. But yeah, they have done a lot of things. And the last one they did was actually something for Mega Man: The Legacy Collection 2 for PC. Which has the same music as other versions, as far as I know. So, just Mega Man Legacy Collection 2.
And Yamanishi was another worker for Natsume, I believe, as well.
Yes.
Just looking at their gameography, they didn't do, at least they're not credited for a lot of games in a way. Amazing Penguin, Shadow Ninja, World Boxing, and Dragon Fighter are the ones listed here. So it's either they dipped out early and pursued a different career, pursued a different line of work, or retro games being retro games and they weren't credited in a lot of their stuff. So, but this game actually has a story.
Yep, which is in the manual, so I'll go over that. Luckily, we do have the manual for this one in our database, so if you want to see it, definitely go to sprintinglegs.com/gbdb/manuals, or just gbmanuals.com.
It's gbmanuals.com. I use it often.
Yeah. I just have a bookmark. So, but yeah, it goes to sprintinglegs.com, of course. But yeah, it's on there. So if you want to see it yourself, you can do so. But here is the amazing penguin story. The kingdom of the penguins has been invaded by the enchanted forces of the wizard Bourbon the Great. Animated pencils, erasers, crayons, and metal clips block the passageways of the realm. None of the penguins dare to cross the paths, and the kingdom is at a standstill. The king sent his son, Prince Pendrich, to defeat the armies of the sorcerer. Pendrich is the fastest and strongest of the penguin folk. Only the prince can stop the evil invasion of the Bourbon's forces and return peace to the land.
I love that the penguins are scared of pencils, erasers, crayons, and metal clips.
Yeah. It's definitely a weird weird enemy lineup you have going there.
Oh, man. So, yeah, you would have never known what the plot or what the story was just by playing the game. The game takes on a top-down view, and it's kind of like Kicks. QIX. If you've ever played Kicks, it's kind of similar to Kicks, where you in this game you have set outlines that you have to navigate your penguin. I already forgot his name.
Pendrich.
Pendrich. You have to navigate Pendrich on these outlines that are already set for you in the game. And by doing so, you collect what are called like these seals, I believe they're called. And every time that you touch a seal, it reverses the enemies on the board. So if you have an enemy coming south, if you touch a seal, the enemy would now start going north or up the screen. And then your goal, the goal to beat the level is to break all the seals. Basically break the ice, so to speak. The controls are pretty simple. A kicks balls, so as you play throughout the stages, there's going to be these black balls that are also on the black lines. You walk up to one, you press A, you kick it, and it kicks it into an enemy. That's your goal. And it kills the enemy. However, the enemy will respawn back in.
Yes.
Approaching the ball or a seal, if you press B, it destroys the ball or destroys the seal. You use your D-pad to move across the lines on the board. Now, there is some quirk to this game. You have to be fairly accurate with going, on the lines when they're inside the puzzle. So if you're doing like a perimeter outside, it's not the controls aren't too bad. They're pretty fluid, but once you get to like the inside, like when there's a lot of like turns and a lot of edges, your penguin will get stuck a little bit, or it'll be like one pixel too early or too late, and you just won't turn, and sometimes you'll just get stabbed by a pencil. So there is some like quirkiness to the movement, and there's also a little bit of quirkiness to kicking the balls as well too. I've noticed that when I play the game, if I'm too close to the ball, Pendritch doesn't kick the ball. And if I'm obviously too far away from the ball, Pendritch doesn't kick the ball. So you have to be kind of like in that in-between area, like kind of by the ball as well too. So there's a little like quirkiness to the game to get used to, which you do get used to within the first like 10 levels of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to be clear, we're not talking about the animal seal, or even the singer seal. We're talking about like a seal to close something off.
Yeah.
So you're not clubbing seals in this game or anything like that.
Yeah, no. So to give a better depiction of what you're looking at here, think of if you've ever played Break the Ice, like the board game Break the Ice, or if you know what, looking at a piece of paper and you draw a big square and then a bunch of little squares inside of it, random sizes. That's kind of what you're looking at with Amazing Penguin. And then randomly draw a white circle on some of those lines and some black circles on some of those lines. The white circles are what we're referring to as seals. These are literally just things that when you touch them or break them, they break the connection or the seal between that square and the next square.
Yeah.
So, there you go. There's your artistic description of the game. You beat the stage by getting rid of all of the seals on the screen, and you can also kill enemies as well too by breaking a block, like a full ice block, while the enemy is on that block as well, or traversing on that block. However, the enemy will respawn. Every few stages you do get a cute little picture, which is actually, they're absolutely adorable. You get a new picture on stages 12, 20, 28, and 36.
And 4, I believe, as well.
Yeah, and I think 4. And you can actually start seeing the picture start to develop as you start breaking all of the seals and start chipping away all the blocks of the ice from the screen. You can start seeing that background image start to show. And once you break them all, you can see the full image. It's really cute. Super recommend, obviously.
Yeah, something to keep in mind. This is basically a game about scoring as well. So it kind of depends on what you're doing, how much score you get. And every 10,000 points, I think you get an extra life.
Yep.
But here's something I did not know or did not realize while playing this game until I read the manual myself. Every stage has like 2 panels, I call them, where you can see a little heart in them. And I never really knew what they did. But apparently, if you can destroy the seals in such a way that are like bordering these 2 panels, and both of them flip over at the same time, the ones with the hearts, you get a special bonus, and the bonus could either be 1,000 points or just straight a 1-up. But yeah, I never realized that was actually a thing.
Yep.
So that was nice to read in the manual. And another thing I had no idea about, and I'm not even sure if the person who's speedrunning this Ariel knows about this, but the manual says it at least. There are a couple of stages where there are actually invisible paths that you can walk over. Which I never saw or accidentally saw, but that is very interesting, actually.
Never encountered an invisible passage.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. The more you know.
Yeah, so like what Mo was saying, like this game is very score driven, because as you get later on into the game, you're going to lose lives. There are some hell stages to be had in this game for sure. But like most of every 10,000 points, you get a 1-up. The points starts really slow. Like just destroying a seal is 10 points. Opening a panel or breaking the ice is 100 points. Where you start getting a lot of your points is with your time remaining. So every stage has a time limit to complete. And you receive 10 points for every 3 remaining seconds left on the clock. Kind of random as 3, but that's how it is. So the faster you complete the stage, obviously the more points you get, and the more points you get, the more lives you're going to get. there are 40 stages in this game, and they start from uber easy and they go to uber hard not very quickly. The actual like difficulty curve to this game is actually quite fair in my opinion, with the exception of stage 37.
Yeah. Yeah. No, nobody likes that stage. It's a complete mess.
In this game, if you don't finish by the time expiration, or if you do get hit, because it is a one-hit death in this game, you do start the stage completely over again, where you have to go collect the seals if you've already collected seals in the game. If you do game over in this game, you can use a password system. However, you don't get a password for every single stage. You get a password for stages 1, 2, 3, 5, 9, 13, 17, 21, 26, 29, 33, and 37.
Mm-hmm.
So if you die on stage 39 and game over, better have that stage 37 code ready so you can redo it again.
Not really. Only if you would turn off your Game Boy, because this game does offer unlimited continues while playing.
That's true, yeah.
And you start at the same level you were at, so there's no problem with that at least. But if you have to turn off your Game Boy or your Super Nintendo or whatever you're playing on, you will.
No,
have to enter a password.
you're on rage quit at 37. It's fine.
That's true.
I understand.
Yeah.
And then the final stage 40, it's huge. Stage 40 is gigantic. It's a giant maze, basically. Not basically. It is. It's a giant maze, and all of the lines go to one seal, and the one seal is guarded by. I think I called it an angry bird. Yeah. It
looks
the
like
wizard.
an angry firebird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that wizard Bourbon the Great.
I think it's supposed to be Bourbon, but I call it the evil bird. And then there's some fire that goes around the perimeter as well too. So it's being goalie guarded by the angry bird and perimetered by a piece of fire. And this square is not big, and your opening to get to the seal is not big either.
Yeah, it's really tough to get. Yeah.
I did a first try, just YOLO'd right into there, and it worked. But all while, like, you have these, I called them lions with sunglasses.
they're polar bears.
Yeah. But you have these polar bears that are coming down, and they don't move on the lines like every other enemy in the game does. Nope. They go at an angle, and they kind of bounce off the walls and keep going through an angle. So you just kind of have to be quick and accurate with your line movement to get past them. One thing I do appreciate about this game, though, in terms of level design, is the opening stages, like the easier stages, I think from 1 to 20, the entire plane is on one screen. You don't have to traverse the plane at all. Yeah. As you get to like the higher stages, like 25, 30, obviously like 35, 40, the plane doesn't fit on the screen anymore. So now you have to traverse left, right, up, and down. And you have to like kind of understand the enemy movement throughout the actual game as well too. Like understand like when they're going to turn down a path. Understand like if I hit this one's going to turn this way, it go down this path. And then also have like the sixth sense of, hey, these other enemies are off the screen, I can't see them. So I kind of have to guess where they're going to be when I start to traverse towards that way. Otherwise, I may get cut off and killed as soon as I transition the screen. So the playing field does get bigger into the point where you have to start scrolling the actual plane to complete the game. But I do appreciate that the game does a build up to that instead of just being like, here it is, have fun, so. The game is very fair in difficulty, in my opinion.
Yeah, and yeah, like we can go over the enemies. There aren't that many different ones in the game, at least. Like the one you will see the most, and these are in 90% of the stages, you will only see these enemies. They are the erasers. They're basically these little white blobs. These move at a moderate pace across the board. They do not like home in on you or anything like that. They just follow the lines, and when they come to a junction, they take a turn. That's basically how they work, and I think they only turn to the left or something, or the right.
The right.
Either
they
way,
turn to the right.
Yeah, so you will always see these guys. Some stages do have the pencils, and as far as I know, they do the exact same as the eraser. Like, I didn't see a difference. Maybe they turn the other way.
Well, they're faster, aren't they?
I don't think the pencils are. I think they move like exactly the same speed as the erasers do, but maybe they're a little bit faster. There is a crayon, however, which is basically the pencil on steroids. They just fly across the screen. But they move the exact same way as the other enemies. They just turn whenever they come to a junction. So, but those are the ones you have to watch out the most for, and you will see the most of. Some stages, but I only think like 3 or 4 of them, have the metal clip. This one actually only moves up and down on one path. So it's always on a vertical line, stationary, and it just goes up and then it goes back down. In some stages you will have to destroy him to actually get to where you need to be, but these are more like blocking enemies and not so much as enemies that will try and come after you, basically. The same goes for the ice skate. It's the same as the metal clip, but this one just moves horizontally on a set path, so left to the right and back again. And then there's the polar bear, which only shows up in the final stage. There's 2 of them, and like EBC already mentioned, they are totally not tied to the pathways. They are just bouncing across the screen, basically.
Yeah, something to note with the enemies as well too is that once you get rid of them, like once you kill one, either with the ball or destroying one of the panels that they were on, they fly off the screen. But they do respawn in. If you're penguin, or if you are in the spot where they're spawning in, you have a little bit of time to get out of that hitbox, because they do spawn in with some iframes where they are not. There's no collision on them right away. But it's a small window. It's maybe like a second or 2. So if you notice that like they're starting to flash back into play, you want to get away from them as fast as possible, especially if it's a crayon, because that sucker is going to rocket right into your back if you don't get out of the way. So that's just a heads up for enemy like respawning. Like as you move, like you need to take out some of these enemies. Like it's inevitable that you're going to have to take out some of these enemies to actually solve these puzzles and actually complete the stage. So just understanding how enemy respawn works too is actually a pretty big deal, especially again with the stages that are bigger than the actual game screen that you have to kind of traverse through. Like understanding like where they're going to respawn off screen is actually pretty crucial.
Yeah. And yeah, like don't be an idiot like me, who just picked up this game and started playing it. And then got to a stage where my path was blocked off by one of those clip thingies, and not realizing until that point in the game, and this is like stage 30 or something. Like it takes a while for them to actually put an enemy like that in the game that blocks your path. Yep. I had no idea that you could kick those balls at all. So I played through 3/4 of the game, never even knowing that I had an attack. So
I have a funny story about that. I'll tell later.
All right. But yeah, it's definitely not needed because I did it, except for those stages where you absolutely have to. But it did make the game a lot harder once I realized easier. I mean, once I realized you could kick those balls. But then again, I have already beaten the stages before that, so it wasn't that useful anymore to me. But yeah, it's definitely a mechanic you need to know before starting the game. But yeah, that's basically what this game is. It's very simple. The concept is very simple. It's very easy to understand and to do. And like EBC mentioned before, the difficulty gradually goes up. I would even say stage 19 is like the last easy one, where there's absolutely no troubles, and then from 20 onward, it starts getting harder and harder from there on out. But yeah, there's not much more to this game, but it's just such a simple and fun concept, and the amazing score that goes with it just sucks you into the game from the start, and you cannot put this down until you have beaten it, or until you reach stage 37 and you just want to throw that game in the trash and burn it or something.
What sucks about 37 is that, like, 37 is like the level, and then as soon as you beat 37, it's slightly easy again. Yeah, because like you just went through the level. Like 37 will make or break you, pretty much.
Yeah, and you're so close to the end that you have to finish the game by now. But yeah, 37 is, compared to any other stage in this game, it's ridiculous. It takes precise timing, it takes some luck maybe, but not really, because the entire game is scripted, basically. But yeah, it will take you some time to get through that stage for sure. But yeah, I wouldn't give up, because the end is so close that it's definitely just worth getting through it. Absolutely.
The final level is so good because like you've gone around and like you've broken like, I don't know, you break like 10 plus seals per stage. Then you go to the final stage, level 40, and it's this giant maze that you have to walk across. And it's just one seal at the end, guarded by, like, the army, basically. And you have to, like, splinter cell into, like, this square to get the one seal. Like,
yeah, it's weird that they did that for this game, and just for the final stage. It would have been like this game only has 40 stages, okay, but maybe like every 10th level could have been a quote-unquote boss fight. So just to prepare you a little bit that, this is like a completely different take on what you're normally supposed to do in this game. Because if you haven't played this game and you want to imagine what the final stage is, just think of one of those mazes that you get on, how do you call that, an under tray or something in a restaurant for kids, where you have to like find a way out with your pencil. It's not an under tray, it's like the paper that goes on the under tray.
We have like a paper mat,
Yeah, so one of those for kids where you have to follow the correct path or otherwise you get to a dead end. That's basically what this final stage is, but you are on the path. You have to like figure out how to go, and it's constant turns in that one, and that's where the quirkiness of turning in this game comes into play a lot,
really
because
shines.
Yeah, it's like every 5 pixels you have to turn again, so it's crazy, and it's completely different than the rest of the game, which I appreciated. At least it was like something different to
and you're dodging polar bears the entire time, so like on top of that nice quirkiness of turning on the lines on the dime, you're dodging the polar bears as well too. So
yeah, and then you get to that bird and you want to like just squeeze through that fire, and it's so hard. And if you fail, you have to do that entire maze again. It's fun times. So.
Yeah, I would say, like, looking back at the game, like I will just outright say right now, this is out of the 230 Game Boy games I have played so far, this game is my favorite Game Boy game. I absolutely love Amazing Penguin. However, like, having played it multiple times, and I look back at it, I would have approached things differently, like what you said about bosses every 10 stages. Like, I would have done a boss every 10 stage, and then once you've defeated that boss, show that little cute cutscene that we get every, 8 stages or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then from there, then you get a password, and then you go on to your next 10 stages. Almost like a world type thing, right?
Yeah.
If I were to design or like remake Amazing Penguin, that's how I would approach it. I would honestly still keep the levels how they are. Like, I would even keep 37 in because people need to play it. I went through it. Y'all need to go through it. I would still keep all the levels the way they are. It's just every 10th level, I would have that boss with the cute cutscene with a password instead of a password randomly every, like, 5 levels, 4 levels, 3 levels, whatever it decides to give you a password. So, yeah, like, looking back, it has some design flaws, or it has some interesting choices. Maybe not flaws. But I for what it is, though, it's a very cute game, and it's very easy to get into. Like, if you're looking for a easy entry action puzzler, like this is the game for you.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and like I said, just the score that goes with it.
Yeah,
You want to keep playing it. It's Natsume makes some, and I can't speak for the games that were on other systems that they made, but at least for Game Boy, like Tailgater as well, like incredibly amazing, fun, jolly music. Like, it's not the best, like, composition wise, I would say. Like, it doesn't do anything special like Konami does with the Turtle soundtracks, or that Gonzalez does with the Asterix or Spirou or Tintin games. But, like, it's not very technical music, but it's just enjoyable music. Like, you hear it once, you know the tune by heart immediately, and you can't stop humming along with it because it's so joyful to hear that song.
Well, it fits the game, right? Like, the game doesn't take itself serious, right? Like, you're a penguin dodging pencils, crayons, and metal clips. Like, it doesn't take itself super serious. So, like, the music itself, like, doesn't take itself super serious, in my opinion, either. So, like, as you're playing through the game, like, the music very much matches the tempo and the tone that level or that, or whatever it is the game itself is going for. I think everything just meshes super nicely together, and it creates a nice harmony just between gameplay and music.
Yeah. We didn't really talk about the graphics really, or the sprite work. Like, it's very simple, really. There's not that much to it. It's they're all just very simple sprites. The best sprite work you see in those pictures that you unlock, those are, like, really well done, really cute. But besides that, it's just, you see what everything is basically, and that's it. Like, it's not like in Tailgater where there it's a little better, like, because it's stage based and you can have backgrounds and things like that. Like, this game doesn't have that, but it's just joyful to look at. Like, it doesn't look like just 3 pixels moving on a line or something. You can actually see it's a pencil. You can actually see it's a penguin. The polar bear is a little wonky because they are on these ice blocks floating around basically, so they kind of look weird. But
I chalk it up to, like, early Game Boy graphics, right? Like, the game came out in 1990, which is, the first full year of Game Boy. But yeah, it's early Game Boy graphics. It's early 90 graphics as well too. But honestly, for the game, like, the game didn't need super detailed sprites or anything. You just needed to know, like, who you were, what you were, and then your enemies. Like, that's all you needed for this game. So it worked out fantastically. And like what Mo said, like, the cute pictures you get every 8 levels, are super, super well detailed, mostly because you don't have to animate them. But they're statically in the background, but they're super, super well detailed, and they look amazing. I would say like the sprite work for the boss and the polar bears are probably the ones that might be the jankiest.
For sure. Feels like they just had no real idea what to do with them, and
it feels like the final stage. Like, and I could be completely wrong. I don't know what the directive. I don't know what the producer direction was for the game by any means. But to me, it feels like they got to like the end of life for Amazing Penguin. They're like, oh, we need to get this out the door. Like, how do we end this game? And it's like, well, let's just have this huge maze with the one seal, and then we'll slap, we said this thing in the manual, so we'll slap him in there as well, too. But we need there's no way to break the pencils or the erasers, so let's have some polar bears flying around type deal. I feel like level 40 was kind of like, hey, we need to wrap this game up, here it is. And they didn't have any sprites created for it, so there's like, okay, here you go. I feel like that's kind of how level 40 is. It's still a good stage. It's just it feels so dislocated from the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like coming back to what you said about what would you do if you could remake this or something. With like the boss stages, you could potentially make boss fights in this game because you already have the mechanic of kicking balls. So like, for instance, and just from the top of my head, like you could have a lower walking field for you, or a path, whatever you call it, and then split off in the middle with above you a moving path for where the boss is, with the black balls spawning in, and you have to like kick them over to the other side and hit them or something like that. Like that would have been a fun idea to put in there, but yeah, it does really feel like they wanted to wrap the game up, wanted to do something different to wrap the game up, so they just went with that weird maze boss fight thing. But yeah, it could potentially have had boss fights with such a mechanic. Like, that would be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, for sure. I could imagine it like Penguin Wars, where like you're on the bottom playing field and you're kicking at the top playing field, right? Yeah. Kind of. I can think of it like Mole Mania. Think of the groundhog fight in Mole Mania, where you pretty much hang out in the center and that groundhog runs around the outside of the perimeter.
Yeah,
I can think of something like that. Like, there's a lot of just like interesting ideas that you could take with the kicking mechanic alone in this game to have a boss fight. So, yeah, I mean, that's the game. So there's the game. If you want to remake the game, there's a bunch of ideas for you as well, too.
Yeah, there you go. Well, they probably still have the IP, so you probably have to make Amazing Gopher or something like that.
Amazing Otter.
Yeah, so, but yeah, if you want to make a game in the style of this, I think this is not that hard of a task to make a game like this. No. I think so.
Pretty easy. You can call it Mediocre Pigeon.
That would be great, actually.
Going on to box art, though.
Yeah.
Box art is very interesting for this game from Japan and America, Europe.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the American-European one first, because that one is... There's a lot of action going on in this one.
Yeah, well, a lot of action for sure, but also a lot of what?
A lot of what are these gophers doing in the shop?
That first of all, what are these army helmet wearing gophers doing on the cover? Because they are definitely not in this game at all. Second of all, why is there a tank in the background? Where did that one come from? There's no tank in this game.
Explosions with chunks of rock flying all over the place too.
Yeah, and I can't pronounce "and." Is the penguin supposed to be uppercutting one of the gophers?
I never noticed that before.
Yeah, I noticed it earlier because I was looking more in detail at it. But yeah, like if you just look at the cover itself, you see Pendrich just like strolling through the snowfield, and you think he's like waving his arms around. But I think what they are trying to portray is that he just uppercutted one of the gophers in the face. So.
He's real happy about it too.
Yeah. He is
yeah, it
very
looks like
happy
he's just
about it.
nonchalant, like waddling through a snowfield, while everyone's like all up in arms and angry at him, and just like gets this nice little curve in one arm, and it's just like this gopher is just going off the screen, Mike Tyson style.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's what they were trying to do with that. But yeah, very artistic this cover is for sure. I love this cover, by the way. I think it's great. I have the card, and it still like has a shiny label on it, and it looks so good.
Yeah, I have the cart and the manual for this. I absolutely love this cover as well too. So you have Pendrich right front and center, like, and the cool thing about him too is that he has like this padding around him because like he is the spotlight essentially, right?
Yeah,
and then around him are this gopher army. I don't know where the hell the gopher army came from, but the biggest eyesore is the giant pencil in the middle of the gopher army. and then on the right hand side you have the big pink eraser. You remember them from grade school. You have this polar bear that's charging at you. Then you have this tank up on a bluff, like with explosions behind it and chunks of fire rock flying into the kingdom, and in the background you can see the kingdom as well too. And then there's this Pendrich with his little French hat on, just being like, "Yo, what's up? I just uppercutted this one gopher. Catch y'all later." You know, he's just walking nonchalant through the snowfield with a big old smile on his face, just giving everyone the finger, basically.
It's so good.
And then it says "Amazing Penguin" in really 90s font, with yellow and pink. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. But now I'm never unseeing that he just uppercutted that gopher. It's so good.
And he did it without effort. Like, look how he's walking. He's just walking casually through a snowfield and just throws an uppercut just out of nowhere and just keeps walking. The man's a beast.
Someone needs to animate this. Like, I don't know. Somebody just animate that. Like, Amazing Penguin, Pendrich with a smile on his face, just nonchalantly uppercutting a gopher in the face. It would be so good.
Oh, it's so good. What a good cover.
Yeah, it's really great. Like, the artist who did this, sometimes I can look that up. I'm gonna see if I can, actually. But
and, like, the actual, like, coloring of it isn't, like, crayon or, like, color pencil, like a comic style, like, art. It has, like, a bit of, like, 3D, like, depth realism to it as well, too. So it almost seems like it was created, or at least, like, maybe drawn on paper and then scanned in and then, like, digitalized, colored on computer. Phenomenal job on this on the American European cover.
Yeah, I can't find it for this one, sadly. Usually, sometimes they credit like the artist or this for.
Is it in your big book of Game Boy box art?
Nah. It's like, I know there's one maybe it's Moby Games or maybe it's the other one, but I can't remember the name. Sometimes they credit who the creator of the cover artist, but I'm not seeing it now.
And then you have the Japanese version.
Yes. This penguin is up to something.
This penguin is mischievous.
And he's probably intending to sleep with you.
And then write about it in his diary.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like he's out on a seduction spree for
He's
sure.
He's out for something. That's
what
for
a
sure.
cheeky penguin that is.
So Pendrich is again front and center on this one as well too. Instead of being a black and white penguin, however, he is a dark blue, almost purple, and white penguin with the same dumb yellow French hat. I think that's a French hat. Is that a French hat?
That is a beret, yeah.
That's a French hat. So,
Yeah.
but this time, he doesn't have all the chaos around him at all. Instead, he has a smile on his face, but he also has his wing or his fingers touching his lips while seductively looking at you through the corner of his eyes while holding a pink notebook and some brown loafers. And in the background is this really drawn castle with a ruler, basically. Like, there's no detail to this castle at all. It's just basically a silhouette of a castle that's colored in with the color turquoise.
Yeah.
And then above that, I'm assuming it says amazing, or whatever the Japanese word was, penguin boy.
Yeah.
And then it has like this diamond pattern with pink, white, and yellow diamonds going all through the background. But front and center, biggest thing in the entire box art is Pendrich just seductively looking at you, thinking about his Friday night, basically.
Yeah. Like, if you would see this game, just walking through the store, never heard of it, and you would see this, you would think it was one of those dating simulator types of games that you can buy on Steam. Just like the one with the pigeon had a full boyfriend, actually. So it could just be this, but then with a penguin instead of a pigeon. So if you want to date a penguin, this is definitely the game you will pick up, and then be surprised that it's totally not a dating simulator.
If you were shopping in Kmart or Sears, because those are the stores around at this time, and you saw this, you would be thinking, "Wow, this belonged in the leather case behind the shelf." For those that don't get that reference, that's how the Atari board games were sold. Yeah, I mean, both box arts are good, but in very different ways.
Yeah.
I personally prefer the American European one because
Absolutely.
I'm more drawn to violence than the other one. But the Japanese one, though, man, if you, it's super good. I'm so glad he's wearing brown loafers as well too.
Yeah,
he's not wearing shoes in the American one.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? He's actually, like, if you would put a subtitle on the cover for the Japanese version, in English, of course, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to read it anyways, it would literally say, "Draw me like one of your French girls."
It would. 120%.
Yep,
it would.
that's the look he's giving.
Maybe that's what his notebook is. It's a drawing pad.
Yeah, see? Titanic was inspired by Amazing Penguin.
There's pencils and crayons in the game, and erasers.
We unlocked the secret.
Oh my god.
James Cameron, we know where you got your inspiration from. Wait, it was James Cameron who did Titanic, right?
I don't know.
I've actually never seen Titanic in my life.
I saw it twice in my entire life.
I only know that line.
And not by choice either. Yeah, okay, so it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Pendrich is an artist because he wears that dumb French hat. I'm sorry, French listeners. And he wears those weird brown loafers. So he looks like an artist already. And then he has this pink drawing tablet. And the game has a bunch of pencils, crayons, and erasers. that I guess are out to get him because he abuses them. And there's paper binders because he has to combine the art together, like if he's making a series. It all makes sense.
Yeah, we figured it out. You've heard it here first,
There it
folks.
is.
Yeah.
The actual story behind Amazing Penguin
not that
so
random
much
thing they put in the American European manual.
Yeah. The real story behind Amazing Penguin isn't that the kingdom was under stress by General What's-His-Face and some polar bears. It was actually because Pendrich is a seductive penguin out to draw all the ladies in Japan. All right.
Yeah.
There it is right there.
Isn't the very first image you unlock him lying in the grass with his drawing pads trying to draw bunnies?
And then the other one is... I don't even know how to describe this one. This one involves a kangaroo.
And we all know what kangaroos are.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm glad we solved the mystery of Amazing Penguin.
Yes.
Oh, here's another drawing one. So I don't know what level this is, but he has an easel up and he's painting a picture of a unicorn.
And we all know what unicorns are.
Magical creatures.
Yes. So yeah, probably the Japanese story has something to do with that. Now it actually kind of makes sense.
Here's another one. This one has a big monkey in it, though, too, and a giant parrot. But he's holding up a PPP flag. I don't know what that means.
You do not want to know.
Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't want to know.
No.
I think that there's one more somewhere here. Oh, there it is. Oh, I game overed on it. Oh, this one has a girl in it.
Aw, he did it. He finally did it.
Oh, there it is.
That Pendrich.
It's like a goddess. Dude, he has like this sword with an amulet and a cloak. And he's like holding hands with this, I'm assuming, princess and taking her away. And in the background are a bunch of elves cheering. I can't make this up. I have an imagination. I can't make this up.
Unbelievable. We all know what swords means.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
We all know it.
True.
Wow.
Here's the ending. Oh, there's a. So he was cheating on his girlfriend, or maybe it's his sister. Well, he was cheating. He was cheating.
This guy, like, now that we know all of this, I'm very sad that we actually chose this episode today. This is.
So
yeah,
once you beat the final boss, Pendrich goes up and goes to like this girl penguin because she has a big bow in her head, which I'm assuming is your girlfriend. Maybe it's your sister. I don't know. And then they look into each other's eyes, and Pendrich just walks off. He's just like, "See ya. I don't want to deal with you anymore." Then it has like a Mega Man ending where he just keeps walking off.
Unbelievable. Like, Steam doesn't want to put out Super Seducer 3 on their platform, but this is way worse. This is way worse. And it was on Game Boy. For little children. Unbelievable.
Steam doesn't want to put out Super Seducer 3, but Limited Run Games will remake this game and relaunch it on a physical cart.
And it's not even 18 plus. Everybody can buy it.
Off the internet now, so it's not even a limitation to the store anymore.
Oh,
literally anyone with the internet in their fingers.
Oh my god. Hashtag cancel Amazing Penguin.
But you know what? You know what else? To tie this all in, Amazing Penguin is being released with Spanky's Quest.
Oh my god. what have we uncovered? Okay, this is gonna be the best episode ever. We're gonna get called by WikiLeaks, that definitely still exists. We have uncovered something. This is amazing journalism on our end. This will be the cover story in the next Time magazine for sure.
Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. And honestly, if you go to limited run games right now, there's actually a physical version of Amazing Penguin and Spanky's Quest ready to be purchased. So
yeah, it's being
that's actually not made up.
Yeah, those games are being re-released. I don't know why. It's kind of weird, those two games, but
it seems random that those two games are getting released.
Yeah.
I know. I think Jeremy Parrish works for limited run games now. I think, and I know that he liked Amazing Penguin. At least I gathered that from his episode. Excuse me, of what he did. I didn't know he played Spanky's Quest though. But I have never played Spanky's Quest. I have no idea if that game is good or not. But yeah, it's kind of weird that these two games are getting a physical release because, I mean, they are kind of just out. They're kind of not known, but at the same time, it's I wouldn't call them you need to own them type games. They're fun to play. I would recommend playing them, but they're not a need to own type game. If I were to think if I wanted a Game Boy re-release, I'm thinking Kirby 1 and 2, Mario 1, 2, and 3, Turtles 1, 2, and 3, Castlevania 1, 2, and 3. I'm thinking games like that. I'm not thinking Amazing Penguin or Spanky's Quest. So
yeah, or just games in general that had a limited printing anyways, that are hard to get. If people do want a repro card that is actually of good quality or something like that, I mean, then I would definitely think of it. But Amazing Penguin and Spanky's Quest, right now, these are $10 games. You can pretty much find them anywhere. I am kind of afraid that these games being released as limited run games will push up the price for the originals, which is completely unnecessary. So that's a downside of something like that. But
well, how much is Amazing Penguin right now? Amazing Penguin right now on eBay is going. What?
Well, looking at prices nowadays is also not great, but.
Well, the Japanese cover's different on the cart.
Oh, that's.
It doesn't have the penguin.
Oh, okay.
They knew.
They knew.
Too much seduction in a Game Boy game. Yeah. The American version of Amazing Penguin is going for $50 right now. Okay. I bought mine for $5.
Yeah, that's not you don't have to look at prices now because with the entire COVID, everything is way up. So, but normally this is a $10 game.
Yeah, the Japanese version is $10. Spanky's Quest. Oh, I spelled Spanky wrong. That means Yep. Spanky's Quest is about $30 for Game Boy.
Again, normally a $10 game. Yeah. So.
The Japanese one is $40 right now, according to this. Yeah, so if you're looking to buy games, honestly, I would tell you can look, but I would say, honestly, wait until, the whole COVID thing kind of blankets over a little bit. It's not going to be completely gone. This is how life is now. But, there will be some normality coming back to the world with the vaccine rollout and everything else. So I would say just wait before you purchase something, unless you find a really good deal. I've actually found some super good deals since COVID, honestly. But unless it's a good deal, honestly, just wait. Because right now, the game may be cheap, but if you look at the shipping costs right now, it's out of this world. That $10 Japanese game I just said had a $20 shipping cost to it.
Yeah.
Because shipping right now internationally because of COVID is so hard to do because COVID, right? So there's a lot of precautions that have to go in. Things are up in price now. Things take longer to get to you. honestly, unless you find a really good deal, just wait. Literally, wait a few months. Like it'll start to drop down a bit. Things will start to normalize a bit with shipping costs. Just wait. Well, now that we uncovered that this game is actually a very sexual game in nature, this episode took a turn that I did not expect. I don't even know when this episode gets released, but by the time this episode is released, the pre-orders for Amazing Penguin and Spanky's Quest will be closed.
Yes.
So. Yeah. I didn't find any trivia. Well, we found the trivia.
We found the trivia. I mean, come on. We did it.
We found the trivia in this game. Some cool things, though, about this game, if you are one of those people that like to cheat in video games, each version actually has its own different types of password systems. So, in the Japanese version of the game, you can have invincibility, level select, and a sound test. And then in the US version, you can also have invulnerability, sound test, which you're playing the BGM and sound effects for, so the D-pad selects the track and A plays the track. And then you have also a stage select as well. We can thank Keyblade 999 for that one.
If there's something you can thank him for.
The JP version has different level selects or level passwords than the American version. The Japanese version starts its password system at level 5, 5, 9, 13, 17, 21, 25, 29, 33, 37. And the American or European version starts their password system at level 1. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 9, 13, 17, 21, 26, 29, 33, and 37. Whew. There you go. If you like to cheat, there are some cheats, but I'm not going to tell you what the password is. You have to go figure that out yourself.
Just play the game.
Just play the game. Get to level 37 and quit. All right. But you want to see the ending. It's actually a pretty cute ending. Well, it would have been cute if we didn't reveal the underlying, or the real meaning to the game. He leaves his girlfriend. I mean, come on. What a jerk. So yeah, with that, we're going to take a quick break. I got to cool down after all that steaminess we just uncovered. And I will come back with our thoughts and some speedrun pieces of this game. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. So, thoughts and history of the game. I'm gonna start with you, Mo. What is your well? We already know your thoughts, I guess, but history with the game.
Yeah, I don't really have a history with this. Like, I never played this as a kid or anything like that. I just came across it probably for portable pleasure, maybe even not. I don't remember. But like, I started playing it and I immediately fell in love with the game. Now I know why. It's because of that sexual undertone that it has that we had no idea about, but now it all makes sense. And that's probably why everybody loves this game. But yeah, I really like this. Like I mentioned before, I had no idea you could kick those balls. Jesus Christ, this game. And yeah, unbelievable. But yeah, except for stage 37, which is a train wreck, I just really enjoyed playing through this game. Yeah.
Yeah, the first time I played this game, I had to play it for Tiny Tin number 2. because you put it in the Tiny 10.
Yeah.
As like the second game of that list. And I played it without kicking any of the balls. Because I didn't know you could kick the balls either. I didn't know you could kick balls in the game until stage like 33.
Yeah.
Because you had to do it, I think it was, for that stage.
Yeah.
And the only reason I figured out that you could kick the balls in that stage is because I accidentally pressed A instead of B. So I went most of the game as well without knowing that you could kick the balls. So yeah, you weren't the only one on that one. Also, I found out later on too, while watching the previous runners of the Tiny 10 too, they were kicking the balls, and they didn't tell anyone that you could kick the balls. So, in return, like when y'all asked me, why didn't you tell me that you could press select or replace people's health in Shipu Iron Leaguer, it's because y'all didn't tell me that I could kick the balls in Amazing Penguin. Even though none of you ran in the Tiny 10 at that time. That's because I withheld information, because it was withheld from me back in the day. So take that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I went most of the game. Like I said, I accidentally pressed A and I kicked the ball and I killed an enemy. I was like, you could kick the ball in the game? Yeah, and then the game went from kind of hard from like 20 to like 35 to I wouldn't say super easy, but it was a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean that's my history thing, and I played it for Game Boy Adventure, which is now Game Boy Digest. It was my 8th game that I played for Game Boy Adventure. And I played I played the first 20 levels because of Tiny 10 before that, because Tiny 10 2 was in 2015 or something like that, and so I decided to put it back. I remember liking the game in the Tiny 10, so I put it back in and played through all 40 stages. And like I said, like I've seen a lot of people like have trouble with the final boss of the game because it is a tight window to get to that seal. And I literally just YOLO'd like right into it. Like, full, like, rhino gored right into that seal. Like, no one was stopping me at all. My chat was just like, what? So I had people there, like, that had played the game that was like, you just walked in and touched the seal. Like, that took me, like, 20 minutes. I'm like, you just gotta YOLO, man. You just gotta do it. Can't think about it too much. So, yeah, this is my, like I said, I've played 230 some odd Game Boy games now for Game Boy Digest, and Masakara is very close to the top right now. That game was very good, but Amazing Penguin still might be my favorite Game Boy game right now. There's well, obviously the sexual undertones is what makes it my favorite, but it's just a charming game. It's relaxing. It's cute. It's just easy to play. It's just something you can just pop in and play and not have to worry about like a stressful like level 37. But you don't have to worry about like the stress and anxiety of like everything coming at you. So it's just a very easy game to play. That's probably why I enjoy it so much. And you and I have talked about this in long detail, that you and I are on the same page where we think like music and sound effects very much makes or helps make a game.
Yeah.
And this game's music with its play style and its graphics harmonize, I would say, near perfect with each other. So
absolutely, yeah.
That's all I got, though. We have a speedrunning stuff, though. You were talking to Ariel about
there's not much to say, but Duke Ariel has been running this game like he's the only one on the board right now. He made the board. His current record is 42 minutes and 41 seconds. And I asked him, is there anything you want us to mention for the speed run? And we kind of touched upon this, but the game has absolutely no RNG. So everything is set in stone, basically, and enemies just react to what you do if you change their, like, going... what's the word I'm looking for now?
I don't know.
The way they are moving, if you reverse their movement, they just go backwards, basically. Yeah. So with proper routing, it's probably doable to go sub 30 minutes in this game. It just, if you can have a set path that you can always take, that is definitely doable. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like there's nothing more to it. It's just a very straightforward game that just needs some proper routing at this point. So that's all I can tell about the speedrunning of this.
Well, there you go. Speaking of speedruns, I saw that there was a task for Catrap that was under an hour.
Okay, yeah, I can see that for sure.
That's pretty.
I wouldn't do it, but yeah.
No, I don't know who would.
Yeah.
An okay game.
It's a good puzzle game, yeah. Definitely.
And I also saw that Cosmo Tank was on Cuso Grande right now as well, too. Which is really unfortunate, because I like Cosmo Tank.
It's a really good game. Yeah, we did an episode on it, so...
Yeah. Unfortunate. Damn it. Just leave it to Percentia. Alright. I did God's work in Discord. So... You're gonna have to make that a shirt now.
Oh no. I could, yeah.
You could. I would wear that shit so much.
Yeah, I can definitely do that, actually, yeah.
I have a King DDD one with DDD, like, from Smash Brothers, and how he does, like, dive, he, like, lands on his side and, like, poses. I don't know how much you watch Smash Brothers, but King DDD, like, when he jumps to the side, he lands and puts his elbow down and puts his head on his fist. And then I have a shirt that has DDD like that says, draw me like one of your French girls. It says King DDD with this big old hammer. It's so good.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah.
Oh, man. So yeah, speedrunning segment done. That was quick.
Yeah, it's just time to move into our outro bits like usual.
Let's do our very scripted, never off the cuff outro.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. This is part of the outro, at least.
Yeah. What's wrong? What?
Nothing. We're just gonna go over the community events and the listener questions first, of course. But
community events happening. Well, Retrothon.
Yes, and this episode should be out in time before Retrothon is on.
Yeah, Retrothon's the final week of April. So
yes,
we have Retrothon coming up. Like I said, the days. Almost said bad word, even though I've said a bunch of them already. Starts on Saturday, April 24th. My time is Central Time America, so 11 a.m. my time, which is 6 o'clock p.m. your time.
Yes.
So, I know time differences. And Retrothon is a week-long event. It's a long one. They had a ton of submissions this year. And, yours truly, both of us, are in Retrothon.
Yeah. My very first live performance of speed running in a marathon, actually.
Yeah. You've commentated.
And I haven't speed run in years, basically. Like, sometimes I do it for fun, 5 minutes, but I'm actually practicing now. Oh.
Dang.
Yeah.
Like, you've commentated in marathons. Like, you commentated Dr. Wily's Revenge for PLD for Handheld Heroes 2016 or something like that.
Yeah, but commentating is, of course, very different than actually having to perform. But yeah, the reason we definitely mentioned Retroton is not only because RGL TV is amazing and they're good friends of ours. Enemy has been on the podcast before, and he's also involved in Tiny 10 Remix, of course. But yeah, this is one of those few marathons you will see where Game Boy actually gets represented, because those people actually know that there are good games on Game Boy and not just some crappy thing they want to show off in an awful block. So, if you're really interested in seeing the Game Boy block for Retroton this year, it will be on April 30th. I was kind of hoping it would be on April 29th, because that's actually my birthday. So, but yeah, it's after my birthday, the day after. But we have a really good block. One of the games on here is listed wrong, but I'll just go over it real quick. So, it starts with Pokemon Crystal, which is Game Boy Color, but Crystal gets a pass because that's an amazing game. And that gets played by Pro Infernape. After that, we got Fish Dudes by Gygas Blues.
Catboat.
Yeah, Catboats. We got Tracks, also by Gygas Blues. Then you have me playing Miracle Adventures of E-Sparks. After that, it's CBC here with Trip World. Then we have Kirby's Dreamland, like a staple for Game Boy speedrunning, of course, played by Kuma. Then the one that's... I think this is a Game Boy Color game. They just put the wrong...
Barbie Fashion Pack?
Yeah, I think it's Color. Pretty sure, because only Barbie Game Girl is on original Game Boy, so...
Barbie Game Girl.
So I'm pretty sure that's Game Boy Color, so there's a little in between there, but...
It's a black cart.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's still Game Boy Color, technically.
Yeah, okay. Technically.
Let's say it's a Game Boy game. Then we have Felix the Cat by Retroverse. Love that game. Like, that's I think that's the first Game Boy game I routed. Well, there's that. Then we have Tiny Toon Adventures 2, which you don't see that often. You usually see the first one. So we got that one played by Jangle Storm. Then we have, I guess, a race for Brain Drain between Smart Alec 24 and Juke Ariel, which we mentioned before. And then we still have Montezuma's Return for Game Boy Color by the good Jake Word. So yeah, that's a lot of Game Boy.
And we do have other Game Boy before that. We have Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, in the Mortal Kombat block.
In the Mortal Kombat block by No Ice 5. Mortal Kombat on Game Boy, my dude.
Yeah, I don't know why you did that, but...
what a god. Mm-hmm. And then we have another Game Boy game in the Mario block. Super Mario Land is being played by Retroverse as well.
Yeah.
And that'll be on Monday, April 26th. So.
Yeah. And the Game Boy goodness isn't over yet, because we also have the Disney block, which I'm kicking off. It's weird that this happened, but I understand it. But I'm kicking off Disney block with Darkwing Dunk for a Game Boy. Yeah. Oh.
A big thing I like about RGL's Marathon is that they put everything into blocks.
Yeah.
It's not just this random hodgepodge of whatever. They put everything into blocks. And, like, you can tell that, like, if you go to their schedule, like, literally there's, like, a day and a half of NES, and that's all you see is the word NES.
That's on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. Like, I get it. Like, a lot of the RGLers are NES runners.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot more runners for NES than there are for Game Boy. I 100% get it. It's the more popular platform to play on. But it's always great to see other systems get some love. Like, we have Arcade, so we're gonna have some MAME going on. I have 2 DOS games in. So we actually have an MS-DOS block. I'll be playing Jill of the Jungle any percent in Hugo 3 Jungle of Doom 100% during DOS block, which I'm a little nervous about, because not so much of the games, but because it's MS-DOS, and MS-DOS is a little tough to run sometimes on Windows 10. So that's my only concern with the DOS block for me in a way. But it's awesome to see all these other systems. I eventually want to get a Fairchild, well, not run, but showcase in eventually. Because the Fairchild Channel F, like, that's just a system you don't get to see often, so. And it being the first cartridge-based console to ever be released, like, you really don't get to see it often.
Yeah.
It would be cool to get that, like a showcase of that up and running for Retrothon some year. But yeah, I'm very excited for Retrothon this year. They have a ton of different runners, like, too. Like, another thing too is, like, at marathons they have, like, their go-to people, right? They have the normal people that submit all the time, and their go-to runners because they know they're good runners. So you kind of see the same names over and over again. But RGL's Retrothon this year, like, they have a plethora of different runners. A lot of people I haven't heard of. A lot of people I haven't seen their name in years. Like, it's awesome to see. I'm very, very, very excited to watch Retrothon this year. I'm always excited to watch Retrothon, but this year
it's always great.
Exceptionally excited to watch it.
And yeah, I'm coming out of retirement just for this, basically.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I was like, should I I'm gonna submit these games, but whatever. And then, like, I have to play both of them. All right.
Yeah, I submitted 5 games, and 3 of my 5 got in. And I know why the other 2 didn't, but yeah. I actually submitted KDL and tracks. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to listen to it in the background during work. Some other marathons we have coming up is Power Up with Pride. The I guess summer edition. Power Up with Pride will be happening June 4th through June 6th, and game submissions will be open April 1st. So by the time this episode is out, game submissions will be open for Power Up with Pride. I have a lot of real-life friends that work in the background of Power Up with Pride. A lot of speedrunning friends, a lot of real-life friends that I've met over the years through retro networking, speedrunning networking, hang out with them at GDQs, etc. So super amazing people supporting a really good cause. So if you're interested in submitting for that, like I said, they open April 1st. If you're not much of a speedrunner, definitely for sure watch the marathon opening weekend of June. I'm not even gonna announce that one. The hell with them. That's how much I care about Super Nintendo. So yeah, 2 big marathons coming up. We don't know what's going on with GDQ yet. For SGDQ, I will assume that SGDQ will be an online-based marathon again. I will be very, very surprised if they do an in-person event this year. But GDQ is GDQ. There will be an SGDQ. We just don't know any of that information yet, or none of that information is out in public yet. So once we hear about that, then obviously we'll say something on the podcast. That's all I got. Big Bad Game-a-thon isn't ready yet. Tiny 10 isn't ready yet. Well, yeah, Tiny 10's not ready yet.
That is ready, but it's not gonna be for quite a while.
It's ready, but it's not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really it going on right now. Like I said, like, this is the ramp up for marathon season. As the spring and summer hits, this is marathon season time right now. So I try my best to keep up with things. There's just so many that are going on, especially right now with COVID, because like ESA is doing some side stuff now too, along with their big marathons. GDQ always has something going on with their channel, along with their big marathons. Like, there's just so much happening. It's really hard to keep up with at this point. So If you're ever interested in or knowing when a marathon is happening, honestly, go follow RGL, Power Upper Pride, Games Done Quick, and ESA, and Midwest Speed Fest. Like, go follow those 5 channels, and you'll probably find a bunch more speedrunning marathons happening just based off of their retweets.
Yeah, and Calathon.
And Calathon, yeah. I knew I'd forget one of them. So, yeah, that's all I got for marathon stuff.
All right. Yeah, let's go over some questions. There aren't that many, and some of them we have already answered, basically, but let's go over them real quick. Ariel is asking, when will I see more runs of this? So yeah, like we mentioned in the speedrun part, more people are needed to route this game some more and make some more runs. So if you're interested after listening to this podcast and playing the game yourself, definitely dive into that. Suffer asks, is this penguin actually more or less amazing than Mandu?
More.
For me, less, but
after unlocking the secret meaning,
yeah,
more.
now he might be more indeed. And his second question is, which is more amazing penguin or amazing tater?
Tater.
I will go with amazing penguin here because tater is too puzzling for me.
Amazing tater because I had world record in it once upon a time.
Sure. All right. These are not questions. Yeah, Lex asks, why is AP looking at me like that on the JP box art? Well, we uncovered that truth, so
yeah, we've uncovered the truth.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That was the last question. So yeah, there we go.
The best part about this episode was that when because I chose this game, it was my turn to choose this game. We had no idea that Limited Run Games was re-releasing this game. At least I didn't.
Indeed, like we recorded the outro for the last part. We were like, oh yeah, next episode, Amazing Penguin. And after we do that, we make the new channel in our Discord, and like. Of course, we put some memes there because that's just how it goes. But then literally, like, the next day, Hero is like, oh, have you seen this? They're reprinting Amazing Penguin. Yeah. So
I was just like, oh.
Yeah, thank you, Limited Run Games, for listening into our recording sessions.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now, if you can re-release Trip World, Spud's Adventure, Amazing Tater, Banishing Racer... Burning Paper, some of the really hard games to get a hold of. I own Trip World, so I don't care about Trip World all that much.
Me neither. Zas, please do Zas.
Oh yeah, Zas, that'd be another good one to have as well. Yep. Let's see here. Yeah, no, that's all the questions. I put a pretty good meme at the end, but.
Yeah.
No one will get it until they listen to the podcast episode, so. Yeah. Outro. Alright. Super scripted outro. Here we go. So if you have any thoughts and suggestions about the podcast, about the episode. Actually, I don't want to know your thoughts on the episode. It's perfect, so. Obviously, you can drop us a line in the Discord. We have a pretty friendly Discord. It's actually been pretty active lately. It's kind of nice to actually talk with people. It's weird. You can drop a line in Discord and be like, hey, nice job. Or, hey, that ABC guy's an idiot. Like, you should probably put on someone else, which, sorry. Can't help you on that one, bud. But yeah, we're always open to feedback. We want to make the podcast, as best as we can, as entertaining as we can, and still keep it informative to the game as much as we can, just like the True Lies episode. And then, if you don't feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Safe? Sure. You can always DM one of us on Discord, Twitter, or Twitch, or I think even YouTube as messaging now. But you can find me, eBloodyCandy, on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and that's it, at eBloodyCandy. And you can find our fantastic producer, Legs, at SprintingLegs on Twitch, SprintingLegs on Twitter, Legs on YouTube, and then her project website, SprintingLegs.com. And where can they find you, Mo?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, all under the same handle. Smoele is Moelleuh, and also on Instagram. I keep forgetting that I have that. Like the Instagram I use for like
the
art
Instagram
stuff.
you use like 3 times.
Yeah, like maybe once a week or something. It's usually tied to the art I'm making. I usually use Instagram to like do the sketch to final product things, stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to see my art, go check that out, or some other random stuff that I take a picture of. Like, I'm not a huge picture taking guy, that's why I don't post that much on it. So but I do use it to put some unique content on it that you won't find on my my other things. So
I appreciate. I always like watching start to finish art. So I do the same thing on my Instagram too. Whenever I draw, I have a start to finish on mine as well too. I always appreciate just watching like how it started, how it finished. Like even if it's in video or snapshot video or just snapshots in general, I think I love that. I love watching the progress of that stuff. So like I looked at your Bubble Ghost shirt, which by the way, go to Mo's Teespring and buy his shirts. They fit really nice. I have two. I have 2 of them, and we'll have 3 of them by Monday.
Yeah, I have one myself as a test. That was the first one I tested that, which I'm glad I did because I made a little mistake, which I corrected afterwards. But yeah, apparently they're good shirts, so that's good.
Was that your bird one?
The bird one, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have turtles. Twittles.
Titles.
Twittles, yeah. I have that was the first one I got because I really like that design. And then I got I Beat Ninja Gaiden, and then I have the A Ghost shirt coming.
A Ghost, yeah. Bubble Love, it's called, but yeah, it's a Bubble Ghost T-shirt. Like that's the first Game Boy related one that I made. For our own. But speaking of shirts, and I'll be sure to do that before this episode comes out, and I'll try and make like a little banner on our website where you can actually find links to all of our social medias and things like that, which is a little bit easier. It's just thisisgameboy.com. But yeah, speaking of shirts, we have been trying to do this for quite a while, even though we have the design. But like, I just keep forgetting to ask Mom to give us the design, but I got it now, so I will do this right after this recording. We will make a shirt shop, at least starting with shirts, where you can get a shirt with our logo on it, and I might make this thing that you just posted in the Discord.
Oh yeah,
I think that would be a cool one for the podcast to have, because like for myself it wouldn't make any sense, of course. So
you know, it'd be interesting for the TIGB shirt. This is definitely off the cuff, and we probably should discuss this off the recording, but I'm going to talk briefly about it on the recording. Is what if we made a quote-unquote first edition TIGB shirt where only like the first few people could order one. You know, it'd have like a first edition on it somewhere, or like a first like ed, that, yeah. And then after a month or 2 months or whatever, then that first edition is just gone, and it's just the TIGB
just
shirt.
A normal one.
But the first edition was like, that's the legacy right there. That's the loyalty shirt right there.
the loyalty shirt.
I have shirts like that where it's like backer or first edition or stuff like that, because I backed something or I was, one of the first people to get, said shirt or toy or whatever. Yeah. It kind of gives it another, like, a little bit of more meaning to it, right?
That's true.
Like, oh, look at that nerd just walking around with a Game Boy shirt. Mine says first edition.
It gets you all the girls.
It does. You can draw them too, like French people.
Yeah. Or the boys if you.
Or the boys.
Yeah. It will get you anything you want.
No judgments here at all.
Yeah. That's maybe a good idea. But yeah, anyways, like when this episode comes out, we'll make it go live or whatever. But I'll set it up before then, so we can finally sell some of the shirts. But yeah, our design will just be with our logo on it, which is a good way to support our podcast and getting something in return. I think that's the best way to do something like that. At least you have something to wear until the end of time, hopefully.
Hockey sweater.
Yeah, there are no hockey sweaters on there. That's not an option. But if you're looking at the thing and you're like, oh, I would actually like a mug or something with the logo on it if you don't want a t-shirt. Just let me know or let us know. Doesn't matter. Like Spring, it's called now. It's not Teespring anymore, but they do offer a lot of different things you can have the print on, so I will look into that. But yeah, normally the shirt with a logo on it will be available. I think I will do it the same as we do our episodes on SoundCloud, one being gray and one being green. I think those are the colors that would just fit, because then it's completely like that. I think black would not be too gray. Like, I can do as many colors as I want, but we'll see.
If you do like a heather gray or like a charcoal gray,
and something like that. We'll see when we set it up. But yeah, that will be available then. Just to support us, and it helps us pay the bills and things like that. If you do not want to buy a shirt, but you just want to support us anyways, with your sweet money that we can definitely use, we have a Patreon, of course, so you can become a patron, and you can do that for as much money as you want. Like, we have 2 tiers right now, a $1 tier and a $5 tier, but of course you can put any amount to that you want, and it gives you some benefits on the Discord, and it gives you access to some behind the scenes stuff, like you can access our episode notes, where you can actually see that entire bit about the amazing
penguin.
Yeah, that was just on the fly improvisation and not scripted at all. So if you want to see that, but yeah, of course, Patreon is a monthly subscription based support system. If you do not like to do that but want to support us one time without basically getting physical t-shirt in return, we also just have a PayPal, which you can access through our website. Again, this is gameboy.com. Very easy to find. So yeah, if you want to drop us some money through there, we definitely appreciate it. So yeah, that's about all the things you can do.
If you do the PayPal route, please let one of the 3 of us know, Legs, myself, or Mo, so we can reward you, because we want to do that. You support us, we want to thank you. Also, if you get to the 20 a month, if we get to 20 a month in Patreon, we do live episodes, and you could have saw me in tears laughing about the penguin jokes at the start of this recording. Just imagine, you could have saw me laugh crying on stream about my amazing penguin jokes.
Yeah, or you can also just get us to $20 and mention, please do not do live episodes, because I do not want to see that. Like, it doesn't matter to us. Anything goes, really. Yeah,
it's true. Anything goes. As we found out in this episode.
Yeah.
And then, And if you don't want to support us monetarily, super fine. Just go to the wherever you listen to your podcasts at and leave a review, 5-star review, saying that those penguin jokes were top tier, 10 out of 10. I will be using them later with the boys. That's all I got. Wow, we have okay, yeah, all right. Oh yeah, we actually have. They'll be able to watch both of our playthroughs because I actually have this up on YouTube.
Yeah,
I have to replace the thumbnail. God damn it! But it's up on YouTube. Holy, y'all! We spoil you. We spoil you, listeners. I almost called you chat. We spoil you, listeners. We uncover the real meaning behind Amazing Penguin. And you're going to get to watch both of us play Amazing Penguin. And I beat it faster than Mo does, for the record.
wow.
Booyah. But yeah, the next time you hear from, well, Mo, because I'm not going to be a part of this debauchery. You're sucktoads. I think I lost Mo. Mo!
No, I'm still here. I thought some more was coming.
I said no. I said I was going to be a part of this debauchery. Like, why am I going to talk about sucktoads for? You'll have someone else, though, on podcast with you.
Yeah, we will see the return, or hear the return, I guess, because you won't see it. But Gran and Hero will be joining me to talk about Battletoads for Game Boy, which is the original one, not the port of the NES version or the port of Double Dragon Battletoads, but like the completely original Battletoads game.
The more fun than the others, but still not fun Battletoads.
And that's why EBC won't be here for that episode.
I will be sitting that episode out because it will literally just be me pissing and moaning about Battletoads.
Yeah.
I have nothing good to say about the game except for the music, so I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't be a part of that episode, but it requires something bigger than a light. So, and Hero and Mo like Battletoads. I'm like, hey, have at it. Y'all do your thing with the stupid frogs, alright? I'm done with them.
And we surely will.
Oh, I'm sure you'll talk about rash, pimple, and zits.
Absolutely. But yeah, hope to see you people then.
Ta-ta. Why are penguins so difficult to get along with? Because they're always fishing for compliments.
No. No.
How did the penguin pass their driving test? They winged it.
That doesn't even make sense.
Where do penguins keep their money? In a snowbank.
Oh my god. Those are some of the worst ever. Jesus Christ. I hate all of them.
How do you get in touch with a penguin? Give him a wing.
No! No, just no. They are terrible. Jesus Christ.
What do you give a penguin that's ill? Some medical treatment.
Oh my god. A penguin doesn't even tweet. Like, what? Oh, no.
What do you call a cold penguin? A birdie.
What? Who wrote these?
A penguin walks into a bar. The bartender looks up and says, "Hey, listen, these things don't fly around here."
Come on, man.
Why didn't the penguin jump off the iceberg? 'Cause he got cold feet.
Oh boy. Oh boy.